The Day I Cleaned the Bank by Adrian Brown. During my time in university back in the late 80s early 90s, having a part-time job in the holiday was very important. Being a mature student, age 24, I was no longer under the protective financial umbrella of my parents, so having a job would bring in most needed extra cash for surviving the next college term. The summer holiday was always a good time for getting a part-time job as they were long, and many companies had to fill vacation slots taken by their regular staff. In the summer of 1989, I applied for a job with a cleaning firm that was giving an excellent rate of hourly pay. Having got the job, I was then told to be at a bank in the center of Brighton by 5:30 p.m. the next day. Being new to the job and keen to make a good impression, I duly arrived at the bank on time and was met by the foreman overseeing the whole operation. His name was John, and my initial impression of him was overworked and underpaid. He was clearly in a great hurry and whisked me up 5 flights of stairs into the offices in the loft of the building. He pointed out the hover and dusting utensils and said the others would come and find me when it was time to go. Taking him at his word, I started the tasks with my portable CD player blasting out Queen and It's a Kind of Magic. About 2 hours later, I had finished the task of cleaning all the offices in the loft and had had more than enough of Queen screaming in my ears. I looked at my watch and realized that none of the other cleaners had come up to see me. Taking the initiative, I decided to go down and present myself and say hello. Having reached the next floor, I yelled out hello, I'm the new guy, and to my surprise there was no answer as there was no one there. I went down to the next floor, and the floor after that with the same result. Suddenly I thought I could hear talking on the footwell at the bottom of the building. Thank God, I thought, so I ran down in great anticipation, only to find that what I thought was other cleaners turned out to be the public passing by on the other side of the big glass doors. Astonished, I realized that I was the last person in the bank. I naturally thought that the foreman was around somewhere. Thinking this, I decided to go home. I walked over to the front door and pulled. It did not open, then pushed. It still did not open. It was locked. In panic, I tried the door beside it, pushed and pulled, but it too was locked. I ran round to the back of the bank, only to find the same. I could not believe it. I was actually locked in the bank. Having taken that moment to panic, I felt better. I realized that I had to contact someone about my predicament, but who? I knew no one in the cleaning firm apart from John, whose surname was never given. A cold chill came over me as I soon realized that the only people I could call were the police, but what was even worse was the thought of having to explain to them that I was locked in a bank. Having dialed 999, explained my predicament, and survived the humiliation of all the laughing I could hear coming from the emergency call operator's room, I was soon told that someone would be with me shortly. Having waited for the first 10 minutes, with no sign of the police, I decided to go back upstairs and use the phone to let a few friends and family know what had happened to me. I must have dialed 20 people, and true to my luck, that evening not one of them was in. I then decided to go back down to the front door of the bank, where the public were passing by, and have a little fun with them. I had originally arrived at the bank on a motorbike, and part of my protection for the bike included a face mask. I put on the face mask, turned on the bank's entrance lights, and sat with my rucksack beside me in full view of the public. It had the desired effect. Within minutes, people started to gather and stare at me on the other side of the glass doors. To further play the crowd, I pulled out my wallet and started to count what little money I had. Then, to the crowd's delight, a police car with sirens blazing screeched to a halt outside the bank. 2 officers and a plainclothes man got out and rushed towards the bank. Within seconds, the doors were opened, and I was let out, past all my fans in the street, and straight to the waiting patrol car. An eerie silence fell over the onlookers as they craned their necks in desperation to watch me be arrested for bank robbery. You could almost hear their total confusion and disappointment when the plainclothes man profusely apologized and shook my hand and let me walk away. The next evening, I went back to the bank, and John was nowhere to be seen. He had been replaced by Vicky, who on behalf of the company apologized, and to stop this from happening again gave me my own key to the side door of the bank. Thinking nothing of it, I did my cleaning and went home. The following day, I returned to the bank, where to my surprise I was ushered in to see Vicky. What more apologies, I thought? No, quite the opposite. It turns out that once again I had been the last person in the bank that previous evening and had not noticed, as this time the door was open. Apparently on my way out I forgot to lock the doors and went home, leaving the bank wide open the entire night. I decided then and there that cleaning the bank was too dangerous a job and immediately resigned for the safety of all concerned.